Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Plot Twists and Freudian Slips podcast.
I'm Jules, a licensed therapist who spends all day analyzing people.
And I'm Mary, a diehard bookworm who loves to use books as an escape from reality.
And this is the podcast where we take fictional characters, drag them out of their fantasy worlds, and put them right here on the couch.
Because sometimes happily ever after is actually just codependency in a trench coat.
Okay, so we are approaching summertime, and Mary, I'm curious to know, what are some of your favorite books that you've read so far this year, and what are some of your least favorite books?
I just finished a book called Finding Delaware, and
Okay.
it's an MM romance.
Cute.
They're both like motocross bros, whatever.
Okay.
Very cute, very angsty, very like a bully romance. They're stepbrothers.
Oh,
But they don't
okay.
become
I don't know how I
stepbrothers
feel
until
about
they're
that.
like 18 kind of thing, so it's
Okay.
But I was telling my friend about it, and I said, I don't know if you probably don't know either of these books, but For the Fans,
Mm-mm.
okay, that's an MM stepbrothers romance, and then
Mhm.
Garen Park,
No.
that's a that's an MM motocross book. So I was telling my friend about it. I was like, oh, Finding Delaware is like if For the Fans and Garen Park had a baby.
Is motocross, is MM motocross like a sub genre? Like, is that a popular thing?
I don't know, I guess.
That's so funny. I haven't thought about, is it motocross or motocross?
Moto, I
Motocross.
think, but yeah, whatever.
Whichever. I haven't
Yeah.
thought about that since, like in years. There was a Disney movie that came out like a long, long time ago about, I think it was a girl who wanted to be on the motocross team and she cut her hair so she would pretend to be a boy.
It sounds super familiar, but the
I'm like
name is
really pulling
not.
from the
Yeah,
archives of my
yeah.
brain.
It's like that back file that I gotta
Yeah,
open up.
that way back file. Okay, so those are some, or that one is one that you've been enjoying.
Yes, and then let's
Cool.
see. For any I didn't like. I didn't like Normal People. Oh,
Oh yeah,
we talked about that in an episode. I really was disappointed
yeah,
by that
yeah.
one.
There's a lot of hype surrounding it, so
Yeah.
I can get that.
Another one that I was like, I don't know how to feel. Like, I just was so like, have you heard of Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry?
No.
Okay, so it follows this mom and how she's dealing with life
Mhm.
post her son being charged with child molestation. And he
Oh,
gets out of this treatment thing because he's like 17. So he
yeah.
didn't go to prison. He went to this like treatment center. And
Mhm.
it's like her trying to like help him while everyone else wants nothing to do with him. Like his dad
Sure.
doesn't hates him, whatever. And this is
Oh.
like her balancing like still loving her son and like
Mhm.
but like coming to like
Yeah,
the
not
fact that
condoning his actions. Yeah.
yeah. And then it's also him like realizing that he is a pedophile. Like he is attracted to young girls and he
Uh,
hates himself for it and he is very suicidal.
oh gosh, what prompted you to
Yes.
read this? Where did you find this book?
I don't know. I think it just popped up on my Kindle Unlimited. And
Dang, that's
yeah.
heavy. And you
Yeah.
don't know how to feel about it because of the
'Cause like it's like
content, or
I just was like I I I actually told my mom, I was like, need you to read this because I need to
Mhm.
know how like from a parent's perspective. You
Oh,
know? I
that's
feel like that would add
interesting.
a layer of
Yeah,
everything.
different lens. Yeah, different
Yeah, and there's
perspective.
some things that happen towards the end of the book, and
Mhm.
the resolution of the book that I don't wanna say because that would be, like, spoilers, but, like, that
Yeah.
was, like,
Oh,
ugh.
interesting. I don't
Yeah.
think I'll be reading that one anytime
It's
soon.
really short. It's only, like, 200-ish pages.
I think I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
Was it written well?
Yeah,
At least? Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
The author has, like, a psychologist background and such, so
Oh, cool.
I felt like it kinda wasn't just, like, some random author trying to write about
Yeah.
pedophilia and not, like and it wasn't, like, condoning his behavior, like, what he's done or
Mhm.
making excuses or something.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. I could see why you would feel conflicted.
Yeah. for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah.
Rough.
Any books
Cool.
for you now that school's winding down for the summer?
Yeah, I still classes go for a couple more weeks. So still in the thick of it, but I did for anyone who doesn't know, Mary and I are in a book club. Um and I have been slacking and I didn't even read my own pick because school and work and stuff has just been crazy. So I totally own that. But someone, I think it was Courtney, maybe, who
Mhm.
suggested the next pick, which was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Think she's a great author, always love her books, and I have it on like Spotify, like the audio. So I put that on a couple days ago and I'm loving it. I love it.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not super, super far into it yet. And it's about space, going into space, about female astronaut. Mary, did you finish it?
I
Or
have not. I haven't started it.
okay. Love it.
Um,
That makes me
but
feel better.
yeah, but my grandma, she came down, like, around Easter time or whatever, and she
Mm.
always brings, like, books that she's read that she think I'd
Aw.
like, and so she gave me, like, a little bag of books, and I opened it, and one of them was Atmosphere. I said, "Perfect!"
Perfect. That's so
So
perfect.
now I can start reading it because I
Yay.
may or may not have just finished your pick from last month.
How was it?
It was, good.
Oh.
I don't know. I did not get emotional the way I think Courtney and Tina got emotional.
Mhm.
Um, but that's just because I'm a cold-hearted bitch. We all know this. It's
Yeah,
fine.
this is not new
This
information.
is not new.
I
But
have
yeah,
that book. It's been on my nightstand for since I suggested it. I just haven't picked it up, so
yeah.
that's
I
on me. But yeah,
I
so
mainly listen to it
Atmosphere
on
is good.
audiobook, so
Mm, yeah,
yeah,
good old audiobook. Yeah, other than that, I haven't really been able to read things that aren't related to school. So
yeah.
that's that on that.
If you're new here, here's how this works. I bring in a book or a character to the table. Usually Jules hasn't heard of it or read it. I give her the plot, the drama, the red flags, the tea, if you will.
And then I apply actual clinical theories to explain why they're acting like a chaotic mess. So we'll talk symptoms, diagnoses, and treatment plans.
Basically, I ruin the romance with logic.
And I ruin the fantasy with science. It is a beautiful partnership.
Before we get started, just a quick note on content and trigger warnings. There's quite a few triggers and content warnings for this book, so if you have anything that you need to be cautious of, please read those. If something is too triggering for you, just exit out of this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Other than that, spoiler alert, because we'll be talking about the characters in the book. We're going to be talking about the whole book, so major spoilers ahead. We cover pretty much everything, so if you haven't read it, go read it and come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers, we'll just jump right in. Well, Jules, you ready to open the file?
I am. I've got my notepad ready. Who is walking into our office today?
All right, so today we are discussing a couple characters from the book All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven.
Oh.
Yeah, I was actually gifted this book by my brother's girlfriend, Kylie. Shout out to Kylie. And then she had reached out to me and said, "Hey, like if you haven't read this book yet, I think it'd make a really good episode for your podcast." So I said, "Obviously, of course, Kylie, anything for you." So here we are.
We love book recommendations.
Yes,
Please feel free to
please.
suggest books
Yes.
at any point, anytime.
Yes. But this book follows two main characters. We have Violet Markey. She is a high school senior, and she is currently going through some hard times because she lost her older sister due to a car crash this previous year. And Violet was in the car when they crashed and her sister died.
Hmm.
So she is kind of grappling with her sister's death. She's not really interested in anything that she used to do anymore. Her and her sister had like a writing blog thing they did. She doesn't want to do that
Hmm.
anymore. She kind of believes it's her own fault. She no longer feels connected to like the writing she used to do, everything like that. She refuses to get in a car now. Like she has not been in a car since the accident. Um, and she just feels like she's no longer who she was prior to that accident. Like she does not recognize that girl. She she's like, she broke up with her boyfriend that she had. Like, she doesn't connect with her friends the same way she used to. She almost seems like she was really naive. And then losing her sister kind of forced her to face reality almost.
Okay.
And then our other main character is Theodore Finch, usually just called Finch. He's also a high school senior. He has 2 sisters, one older sister, one younger sister. Mom and dad are divorced. His dad was pretty abusive to him. And then his dad also left for another woman. And so his mom is pretty not present at all. She's
Pretty checked out.
Yeah, pretty checked out. He is super funny and charismatic, really smart, but is struggling a lot with his mental health. He gets into these, what he calls sleep zones or awake zones, where he just, in the sleep zones, he's just like loses track of time. Like, he could be in sleep zones for months. One time this past year during like the holidays, he was in this sleep zone for months, and his sister had to like call the school to be like, oh, he has the flu, to like get him excused from not showing up.
Dang.
He has this like
But he's awake when he's in the sleep zone.
yeah, he's just
so,
not.
like,
You
he's
just yeah, he's
dissociating
just like
properly.
nothing, like lights on, no one's home almost.
Mhm.
He has this like obsession or fascination with like death and dying and like ways to kill yourself, but he doesn't want to die. He
Mhm.
will like think of ways one can kill themselves, and then he'll do like research on it to see like
Interesting.
facts and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, he
Special interest. He has a
Mhm.
special interest in that.
Yes.
But it sounds like no actual intent for at least in the beginning.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. So they meet. They go to the same high school, and the book starts with them meeting at the edge of this bell tower. So they're both up on the super tall bell tower. He's up there, like, not necessarily to kill himself, but thinking about, oh, what would happen if I jumped? What would the reaction be from other people? Like, what's the likelihood that I survive? What had happened if I did survive, but I'm paralyzed? All this stuff. He's having all these thoughts. And then he noticed that Violet is up there too, and he can tell that she is like not doing well. She looks like she wants to jump, like actually wants to do it. He kind of talks her off the ledge per se. But then he knows that she's this popular girl with all these popular friends, and he's kind of like this loser. Um, Everyone's like calls him a freak Finch or
No.
freaky Finch. So he spins the story of, oh, she was up there to save him, so makes her like the hero.
He spun that story.
Yeah, because he's like, he kind of, because everyone's like looking up and like they're seeing this like them two up there, so he kind of yells something like, oh, like, thank you so much for saving me, Violet. Da da da. Like, thanks for talking me off the ledge.
Trying to like protect her image. That's so
Yeah.
kind.
I
That's so
know.
sad and so nice. What a
So
sweet boy.
yeah, I know. So they kind of have this like recognition of like the pain that they are feeling. It's on like similar lines. And you can
a bond. They have
yeah.
a bond.
And you can see that Finch really hides behind his humor and being super sociable and like kind of a no fucks given kind of attitude about life and people and things.
Right.
Where obviously Violet is still very vulnerable and fragile from losing her sister and feeling like
Sure.
but yeah. So after that, he kind of starts having this like little obsession with her, like wanting to be her friend, like talking to her like he wouldn't normally talk to people. And she's just kind of like, okay, like, get away from me, weirdo.
Yeah,
like,
we had the one
we
moment,
bonded,
but, like,
now you know my secret, but don't tell. Like, let's like just keep it at that.
Yeah.
And so, it continues with them being at school, and Violet tends to avoid attention and has been struggling socially. So you can kind of see how they're both really isolated. But in contrast, Finch is like a super loud outsider, so he's not afraid to look weird in front of all these
He's a
people who are
rebel.
like, yeah, where she like is very withdrawn and she doesn't want to draw attention to herself. They're in the same geography class, and their teacher assigns them a project called like the Wandering Project, where they have to explore the natural wonders of their state, Indiana. And they have to partner up. So he immediately is like, I'm partying with Violet in front of everyone. She's like, what the
Oh my
fuck,
gosh.
dude?
Yeah.
And he really pushes for like fun places, going everywhere. She eventually electly agrees to partner with him, but she refuses to go anywhere that requires a car.
Right.
So that kind of
Yeah, limits.
limits some things for a while. They visit just kind of small, unusual places. The first one they go to is Hoosier, Hoosier,
Hoosier.
Hoosier Hill,
Hoosier.
which I guess
I've been to Indiana one
I
time.
don't know. I guess it's called Hoosier Hill. It's the highest point in Indiana, so they're able to bike there from where they are.
Mhm.
And when they get there, it turns out to be really underwhelming and barely noticeable. So it kind of drives home the point that like sometimes the highest point isn't very dramatic, and life's
Mhm.
big milestones often feel smaller than imagined. Um, Eventually, Finn, with his like energetic and like just kind of, just pokes at the bear until it gets
Mhm.
him to break. Finally gets Violet to agree to get in the car, and he'll go really slow, whatever. They go to this trailer park that has books. It's like a library
Mhm.
in like different trailer parks. So like one trailer park has fantasy, one trailer park has
I love that.
thrillers or whatever.
That sounds like a very
And
cool
she's like
concept.
has like a really good time. Like she buys a bunch of books and whatnot. And they just keep going to all these different places. They go to this blue hole, which is like this water place or something.
Mhm.
And then the other like random landmarks. And the book is basically driving home the point that meaning comes from the experiences, not necessarily the place, and like
Yeah.
um things
It's
like
about the
that.
journey, not the
Yeah,
destination. Yeah.
exactly. Um, this has really helped Violet, so she starts writing again. She begins kind of like her healing journey. And then even though Finch appears to be happy with his friendship with Violet,
Mhm.
it's almost like he's overextending himself. He's pouring
Mm,
everything of him into Violet versus himself.
right.
Um,
That's a
with
good distinction.
Yeah. With this like project that they're doing, they start talking more, they talk more deeply. He shares parts of himself with her, just not quite everything.
Mhm.
Um, and he kind of becomes her emotional catalyst. So she's writing again, she starts to enjoy life again.
Yeah, so
She's
Violet's getting better and
Yeah,
Finch maybe not so much.
right. Um, as young teens often do, they fall in love,
Classic.
share vulnerability.
I was like, what word are you trying to say?
Vulnerability.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But they're it's not equal healing. So she's getting better while
Mhm.
he's almost becoming dependent on Violet to feel better.
Sure.
Um, but then it kind of quickly catches up with Finch. His moods start to fluctuate. He does talk about being in the awake versus asleep zone.
Mhm.
And the warning signs start to begin as their relationship progresses. So it gets deep. They get deeper, like closer romantically. Um, they become physically intimate, so that emotional connection intensifies.
Mhm.
Um, but then Finch's mental health declines.
Mhm.
And there was like a quote that's like, "It's just everything. Everything makes me feel like I'm going to explode."
Mm.
So he begins skipping school again, withdraws from others. He has a couple friends, but not a lot.
Mhm.
Violet notices the changes, but doesn't quite fully understand. Um, he just keeps isolating himself, stops communicating, and she is really confused and worried.
Mhm.
Um, and as he spirals, he's skipping school, sleeping excessively or not at all. Like it's just one
Right.
extreme or the other. And again, his obsession with like death keeps coming up. But he refuses like any sort of like professional help. Like he's
Mm.
required to see his like school counselor, but he doesn't
Mhm.
really take it seriously, and it almost doesn't seem like the counselor really cares.
Oh.
Or I guess in Finch's perspective, it's like whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, Finch's like awake sleep stage shows, like it starts coming again, and he attempts to commit suicide with pills, but
Mm.
survives. Um, and then at the kind of the climax of the book, I guess you could call it, he disappears and Violet is searching for him, like trying to figure out where he could be. He like left clues. And
Mhm.
she realizes that he is at the Blue Hole, one of the wandering spots he went to. So she goes there to find him, and she finds him dead at the Blue Hole.
Mhm.
His clothes are folded neatly on the shoreline or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily say that he killed himself, but it's heavily implied.
Right.
Um, so yeah,
So yeah, that's the
so
book.
yeah, that's it. um, Let me see. Obviously, Violet's response to that is grief and anger and like the guilt of could I have saved him? All of a
Right.
sudden now, like people suddenly care about Finch. He's like romanticized, of course.
Right.
And the aftermath of all this is we're watching Violet kind of process her grief and her questions
Mhm.
of what she could have done, what she missed. The survivor's guilt returns like she felt with her sister. Um,
Yeah.
but Finch actually left a final message and left clues for her and for maps to visit places he marked, kind of like a final wandering project.
Mm.
Um, and when she gets to like the last one, there's like a message from him saying that she made everything better for him, like how much he loved her, whatnot. Even in death, he created that structure and offers her closure.
Mm.
At the end, you see that Violet is able to process the grief, and she is able to return to the Blue Hole, to kind of get that closure, and she chooses not to end her own life. Um,
Mhm.
but she chooses to take life without the guarantees.
Mm. Damn.
Yeah, so and
I
that's a YA book. I was like,
It is. Yeah, I
oh.
read this book a long time ago and then I watched the movie. Have you seen the
I
movie?
haven't. I've had a chance
With
to, but I
Elle
would like to.
Fanning, I
You're right.
think.
Yes.
Yeah. So as you were saying all this, I was like, I remember. I was like,
It's
I
coming
remember the
back to
Blue
me.
Hole. Yes, it was coming back to me. Yeah. Dang, that is sad. And I
Yeah.
think yeah, it's got some heavy themes, especially for a YA book.
Yeah.
But a good book
Mhm.
nonetheless. Yeah. So thinking like case conceptualization wise, which is like, how I'm envisioning these people, if they were these characters, if they came in as clients. Starting off with Violet, you mentioned her sister died in a car accident that she was also in. That's really heavy.
Yeah.
And makes sense that she would be struggling and grieving and grief can be kind of messy sometimes, so it makes sense that she's having a hard time. And then enter in this boy who maybe makes life a little bit more exciting, and that's all great. But then Finch having some mental health issues of his own, like that's pretty heavy too. So I feel for Violet and Finch in that. That's really tough. If I was just seeing Violet, like one-on-one, we'd probably be processing a lot of the grief and like a lot of the survivor's guilt. Sounds like that's pretty prevalent. What's her like aside from her sister, like what's her home life situation?
Yeah. So it's just her and her sister, sibling wise, but she has two
Okay.
parents. They're still together. They're still super
Hmm.
supportive.
Hmm.
She almost feels like they want her to get better so bad that they're like pushing her to do things and like kind of forces her to talk about things, and
Hmm.
she's like, no, like leave me the f alone. Like I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and she might need to like process and heal in her own way.
Hmm.
Like being in a car accident is traumatic on its own.
Yeah.
Being in a car accident where your sibling dies is super traumatic.
Yeah.
So that could take like years and years and years of healing. So having like the added pressure, even though it sounds like it's coming from a good place from her parents, could be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And then thinking of Finch, so I feel like Violet might be like working through some feelings of grief and depression. Finch, to me, also sounds like we'd be working through some feelings of depression. Um, but sometimes when there's not like a key event to pinpoint depression to, it can almost feel like more ambiguous and like maybe even harder to work through. Like there might be some like brain chemistry stuff going on. It might be situational, kind of depends. So you kind of have to parse through all that, which can be tough versus Violet when we have like a specific event to tie it to. So if it's like if we could process the event and get her through that, then maybe some of the symptoms of depression will lift. Whereas Finch, that might be a little bit harder depending on what it's tied to, or if he even knows what it's tied to. And I know you had mentioned his dad was abusive. Can you speak more on that at all?
I don't know. I don't think it went too in depth, but
Mm-hmm.
his dad was abusive, and then I think with then the dad leaving for another woman, and then his mom not
Mm-hmm.
being that supportive motherly
Yeah.
role as much as she could be.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of hides his mental health issues from her. And his older sister kind of helps with that too.
Mm.
Um,
So it sounds like older sister is supportive, dad's out of the picture, and mom is kind of, yeah, checked out mentally, which is tough too.
yeah.
So some of those things, like not having supportive parents, even if it's not like intentional, but just not having that support system can be really hard, especially for a teenager. And the sleep zones and the awake zones I thought were really interesting. When you mentioned sleep zone and you had said that he was actually like awake during it, he's not actually asleep. I immediately went to like disassociation. So his brain is like, we need to take a vacation. We need to go somewhere else because life is too hard right now. Which is like a protective factor. That's the brain trying to protect us from like trauma or like things that are maybe like too tough to deal with. However, we can't be in a dissociative state for too long because we need to, be present and be in our brains. So that's tough. That's really tough. Um, I wonder too with Finch, like it sound like you said that he had like some friends at school?
Yeah, he had like two.
Okay. Well, all you need is like one good
Mm.
friend. But that can be pretty like lonely. That can be pretty
Yeah.
lonely too. So not having like the social support system, like the social network,
Yeah. And I
can
don't think
be
his friends
hard.
fully knew the extent of his problems either. I
Yeah.
think they just saw more of his like fun, charismatic, funny
Yeah,
side.
self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like that's such a classic mask of like, wow, you're probably like feeling real sad about something like, below or insecure or something, there's something going on. Um, but okay. Well, if Violet walked into my office, I would probably give her a diagnosis of depression. Um, and then I would also I'm trying to think back in the DSM. I can't remember if there's an actual diagnosis for grief or if it's like in if it's like conjoined with depression. But I'd throw grief in there too. I'd make
Mm-hmm.
that one of our goals to like process through the grief.
For sure.
And then if Finch walked in my office, we 1,000% would be working through the depression and probably some of the disassociation and working on processing all of that and then trying to get him like back in his body.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd be doing some somatic things, which is like body based mindfulness. So that's like breathing exercises, movement, stuff like that. Anything to kind of connect like brain and body to get him back into the present space.
I was when I was like getting the show notes ready or whatever in the book and looking at reviews, someone had mentioned they were thinking a possibility of like bipolar disorder. Would that be
Oh,
something?
yeah. So bipolar is interesting because to classify as bipolar disorder versus depression, you have to have just one time a manic episode. Um, So a manic episode looks like it can look different. A manic episode could be like someone quitting their job randomly, like with no like reason. It can be kind of like a feeling of kind of like I wouldn't say it's a feeling of being high, but it's like a high feeling. Like you feel like everything is great. In extreme cases, you'll hear of people like quitting their job and moving across the country, breaking up with, a long-term partner. And then like a month down the road, they're like, oh my gosh, like how did this all happen? So that's a more extreme case. So I don't know, were you seeing some like extreme out of character behaviors with him?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would have like clocked that because I wasn't really looking for it. And
Yeah,
I've read this
true.
a while ago now, but so I don't
Yeah.
know have to reread or watch the show. Have you watched the show?
Yeah, I think it was a movie, or was it a show?
I don't know. An adaptation.
Adaptation.
Yeah.
From my recollection, I think I read this book like 10 years ago. This is a long time ago. I don't feel like there was anything that would represent mania, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah. So if Violet came into my office, sat down for therapy, do you think she would commit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about Finch?
I think he would come to sessions. I don't think he would take it like to like
Super
seriously.
seriously.
Like he would just jokingly answer questions and like
I could
just
see
like
that
be
too.
like super chill, like whatever, man.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
haha, I'm not gonna kill myself this week.
Yeah, don't worry
like
about
that
me.
kind of
I'm
vibe.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like, it's all fun and games. Like, it can be funny. Like, if I'm with a client and we're like, we have moments of like joking, it's like, haha, that's great. Also, like, sometimes I'll call someone
Also,
out.
please don't kill yourself.
Well, yes, absolutely. But sometimes I'll feel like, that was funny. Also, I recognize that you're using humor to mask what's going on. So, sometimes sometimes we need to call that out in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
Because therapy is the place to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Mary, I am dying to know, what did you rate this book out of 5 stars?
Yeah, I gave it a 3.75. I enjoyed myself. I think if I were younger, I would have loved it a lot more. Connecting to the characters wise.
It hits when you're in your
It
teenage years.
does. I would have like it's giving like
Those
Fault in Our
angsty years.
Stars, angsty like but it's not a bad book. I think people that age should definitely read it, and it might help them kind of recognize things maybe themselves or their friends. But I thought we could read some 1-star reviews because that's always a good time. All right. 1-star review number 1. There are no bright places, no hope, and no plot in this book. Nothing but a ton of cliches. You can't find any beautiful story. It's just filled with darkness.
Dang, no bright places. That's actually funny.
This is a long one, but I'm just going to read the first couple sentences. Thanks. I hated it. These kind of books are outdated for the emo Tumblr crowd of years past and have always sucked. I'm sure glad Netflix gives them more attention by giving them shows and movies. Fuck you, Netflix. This book is the definition of problematic.
Dang. Okay. True. That it does, like you said, Fault in Our Stars. Like, that was when I was in my Tumblr era when that came out. So I was like 14. So that is relatable.
Hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yep. I feel seen.
Next one. My eyes deserve an apology, Jennifer. This was awful. What the fuck?
Dang.
And last one. Romanticize suicide at the very best. Heart.
Yeah. I could see that. And depending on the age of the reader and the discernment, like, I certainly would hope that they don't take away some sort of romanticization?
Right.
Romanticizing, whatever.
Yeah.
Of serious mental health.
Right.
Things such as that.
Yep.
True.
Yeah. So, fair enough.
Well, Mary, for listeners who enjoyed the deep darkness that was this book, what should they read next?
Yeah, so if you liked the kind of YA mental health representation, then I would read The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This book follows a girl through her high school years and her dealing with the, I guess, aftermath, if you will, of her being raped by her brother's best friend, and how she deals with that without telling anyone, and how that affects someone. And spoiler alert, maybe an episode coming up. We'll see.
Okay. Like, yay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's heavy. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, not cool, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So in this field, we always like to get a second opinion. So let us know. Did we get the diagnosis right? Or are we just totally projecting?
Slide into your DMs. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and let us know your thoughts.
And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving a 5-star review acts as a little dopamine hit for us, which is very regulating.
Until next time, keep turning the pages.
And remember, reality is stressful. read responsibly. And as we end, a quick reminder, I am a licensed therapist, but this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The discussions here are theoretical and applied to fictional characters. This is not medical advice. I am not your therapist, and listening to this podcast does not establish a client-therapist relationship. If you are experiencing a mental health emergency, please contact 988 or go to your nearest emergency room.
And before we sign off, I have the riddle for next episode's book. I show up where a wedding is already in motion, a place of celebration masking deeper emotion. One unexpected guest changes the tone and finds herself less alone than she's known. All right.
Ooh. See you next
See you next
time.
time. Bye.
Bye.